Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel, and this is something I made, let's see, actually last week, no, Thursday. I made this last Thursday. So you're probably wondering what these are. Well, believe it or not, burritos. I made burritos. So it didn't take me long to actually do this. And let me tell you, when I took this picture, me and my sister, we were both doing the same thing, except that she was doing a vlog and telling her friends about it. Well, I was just trying to take a picture. So, my prep time for doing this took about at least 45 minutes. Because what I did was I went to the store and I picked up the following. I picked up some chicken because we had pork, we had steak, but we had no chicken. And what proper burrito mix could be without pollo, right? I mean, you have the steaks, you have carnitas, but you don't have pollo. And you also have Pico de Gallo. And also, on top of that, you have hot sauce. 2 different types. So, as you can see there, that's Frank's, because we put that shit on everything. And 2 types of Pico de Gallo. Well, actually, one is salsa, the other is Pico de Gallo. We have some green hot sauce. And another one is actually, well, they're both Frank's, actually. One is sweet chile, and the other one is the extra hot. So, as you can tell, what I did was I went to the store that day. And this is right when I got up. Went to the store, got some sodas. That's why you see the Barks and the Sierra Mist right there. And when I got back, all I did was, the meat was already out, so all I had to do was just plop it into the skillet and just cook it. Now it took me a while because I was managing 3 skillets, as you can see there. So I cooked them all in one go. And what took the longest time was actually the pork. Because you have to be extra careful with pork. So, when making this, mind you, I was cooking for 4 people. I was cooking for my brother, his wife, their son, and myself. And of course, I always go by the rule of, as the cook, you eat last. Because really, that's what you're supposed to do. You're the cook, you don't eat along with the group, you eat last. And there's a reason why. Because whatever's left over, you're going to end up either eating whatever's left over or putting it up for, say, the next day. So, what happened was, I also took the liberty of doing the following, which is cooking the tortilla strips. I mean, the tortilla shells, not strips. I took the liberty of cooking the tortilla shells, and all you had to do, just to make them really nice and crisp, is just flip them over a few turns. I would say like 4, because what I did was like 1, 2, 3, 4. So one side 4 turns. just because you want to get them nice and crunchy, or if you want soft but still have the crunch in it. So I cooked, as you can see, for two were shown off camera because, you know, I wasn't done, but I was taking the skillets off. Now that's what I've learned to do as of recently, because I'm going back into cooking. So I always change up how I do my cooking. So what I did was, I've done this recently, which is take the skillets off and put them on the table. And the reason why I do that is because, just in case somebody wants to get more, or if someone wants to fix me a plate, or I fix my own plate, I don't have to do much except just go right there, wrap it up, and there you go. Now we do have the cheese. We don't have to worry about the tomatoes because Pico de Gallo. It's already there. It's fresh. And on top of that, there you see the lettuce. So it goes without saying that when this was made, it really was made in an hour. Because what took the longest time was the meat itself. And I'm just swapping around on 3 separate burners. Just make sure this was on, this was on, this was on. They're all cooking at once, and I had to swap them around. And on top of that, I had to make definitely double sure that the pork itself was actually, you know, cooked all the way through. Thankfully, it was cooked all the way through on the night that I made all this. It took me a while to do all this, but I'm glad it took me an hour. Because unless if I'm making a special meal, and what I mean by a special meal is like if I'm doing something like barbecue or ham, I call that a special meal because this was made in an hour, but I can make something within, say, 12 hours, all things considering that, say with barbecue. Marinate. And a good solid marinade takes about 8 hours. Now when I take it out, the sauce is already in there. So all I had to do is just put it in the stove, or rather, yeah, put it in the oven, not the stove. Put it in the oven, cook it for 2 hours on low heat. And what I mean by low heat would be somewhere in 300 to say 325, something like that. But not too high, but not too low, but somewhere within that range. Let it cook for 2 hours, and by then, maybe less than 2 hours, but no more than 3 hours. Because I learned how to cook on the inside from my mom. I've never done barbecue outside though. So that's another thing I'm going to have to learn. Another thing I'm just going to have to learn how to do is cornbread. Never did cornbread before. And I never did Frito pie before. So one thing I plan to do as far as cooking is concerned is update my repertoire of what I'm going to cook. Excuse me because I'm having ramen. But I feel like what I've been doing lately is, between everything that I have been doing channel-wise, this is what I've been doing kitchen-wise. And you know what? It's all the more better because, hey, people's got to eat And I'm glad I actually made the effort to at least cook twice for my family. At least twice. Because mainly it's just my brother, myself, and my nephew living here all together. And every once in a while, my sister-in-law, she shows up. She stays for a day or so, and then she goes about her merry way. And the one thing I always do is I always have something ready, because we had to talk about it. Like if I go out and I eat, yeah, I'm going out for a while. I'm gonna have some, and I'm gonna eat for two reasons. One, my heart medication requires that I have food, and I have it twice a day. If not that, well, technically it's for my health. I'm not staying in the house all day. I said, shoot, I sleep for about, say, a good 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours the most. If nothing is actually going on, if I'm not working on anything, that's usually the case. But for what it's worth, you know, I do get up, I do get out. And on occasion I do clean up my room. Well, there ain't much to do except just vacuum. And that's what I'm mostly doing, just vacuuming all the little corners in my room, because, you know, bugs and stuff get into this room. But yeah, next time on my reviews and recipes, if I have not shown you how to do it, I'm going to tell you how to do it. So, as I said, we had steak, carnitas, and pollo. So we got. So, in order to do this right, I would say what I also put in that, as you can see, for all three of them is if you get fajita mix, that will really just turn the tide of the whole recipe in itself. And I save some just for anything else happens, like, oh, if I want to cook some chicken, oh, hey, I got some fajita mix. I can add some peppers and onions to it and make it really come alive. So, well, that's what I've used in the chicken, as you can see right there. They all have a little bit of each, but I think the most important thing to do is make sure they're as brown as possible, and you flip over all three sides as best you can, because really you have to make sure that it's brown on all sides. So whether you're cooking with chicken, steak, pork, or even with ground beef, you have to make sure that the browning is there. You have to make sure that if you're going to do that, just make sure you just have the right seasoning involved. Like, say, peppers and, salt, pepper. Your standard fare. Your standard fare of salt and pepper, and what to do with it. If you want to add a little something to it, you can. But normally when I make something like this when I make a Mexican meal, I usually like to do the following, which is I like to cook the Pico de Gallo with the meat. Or if not that, with chili. I like to do it that way. But usually, in the case of this, anything goes with this kind of cooking. But if you do it right, as I said, I had to really work with that pork, let me tell you, because it was just straight out of the freezer. And when you get something straight out of the freezer, oh, it'll give you a little bit of a headache, and you really have to fight with it. So it's worth fighting if you just basically chunk it down, blast that fire pretty high, because I had it on, like, say, 5 to 6. Now the highest ours can go is about at 8, or 8, 9, or 10. One of those options. But once that fire gets going, oh, that fire gets going. That's one thing you have to know. That fire will get going. So aside from that, I believe we still have some leftovers of, well, I know the root beer's still there. And as far as the meats are concerned, I haven't seen hide nor hair of anything else that I've seen in the fridge since. But I can tell you one thing. I've gotten thumbs up all the way around. And for that, I'm grateful. So what'll be my next recipe? Well, you'll have to find out next time on the Wonder Chef's food reviews and recipes. So until then, I have been your friendly neighborhood Tenkaichi, Izzy. And with that, stay hungry, stay healthy, and stay happy. Take care.